Hold up, you think you know me well, but you don't know me like I know me when I'm by myself. Tears running from my pupils, going through some hell. I lash out when I'm mad, I think I need some help, Lord. Praying for some wisdom, cause this righteous shit is hard. It's harder in the dark when you fight against the odds. The point of my existence, if I ain't doing my job, then I ride around the district, see who's really living hard. My brothers got kids now, my niece is in high school. Where do the time go? I know it's my job soon to take care of everything. We only get older. See, when I talk to my old hoes, hope she know that we over. Hold up, see, I got bitches up from Brooklyn, living like this shit is Crooklyn. That abortion got me shook in my depression, running wild since I almost had a child. Now I'm always pulling out, and after that I smoke some loud. They really want from me, ayy, little bit of knowledge and some company. Damn, slaying all my demons when they come for me. See, I've been focused, never loafing, being honest with my feelings, help me cope with, oh Lord.
You do realize this is the third time you've done this to me, right? The third time that you made plans with me, that I've gotten dressed, that you've disappeared, and then just not fucking called.
Hey y'all, this is the third installment of the High Code solo series on the road to the 200th episode of the show. I am Taylor Blossom, mental health therapist, guide, and super OG guest of the High Code show. So I'm here to interview Chuck, Charles, 1/3 of the show, and just so much more that you guys should probably have him get into himself. So let's jump right in. So Charles, who are you?
Wow, such a loaded question. Such a philosophical question. No, who am I? Okay, so where do we start? Do we start from the external or the internal?
The internal.
All right, so who am I? I think I'm a good person who is jaded.
Right out the gate.
Yeah, I think I'm a good person who's jaded, and because I'm jaded, that makes me cynical. That makes me a lot of other things, and ultimately, I think that shapes like who I am. So when you ask me who I am, I think I'm a person who is like all things good, but all things like cynical. And I don't know if that makes sense, but like I think that's how I would describe myself right now. At this moment in time, that's the type of person I am. I'm a loving person who is also super judgmental, super cynical, super just all those things that come with, I guess, whatever those adjectives are. What are these? Are synonyms? Synonyms for those words. That's fine. Okay. But like on a not so deep level, I'm somebody's son.
Okay.
I plan on being somebody's husband very soon.
Period.
I'm a friend. I'm a brother. I'm all those good things. You know, like I run a brand thing, business company. I think I create stuff. So I like to. So I think I wouldn't call myself a creative. That seems kind of weird. It seems like oh, I'm a creative. Like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Really. Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Like, I even with stuff that I've actually like watched fruition, like an idea that I've made with friends, and just like, did we really create that, or did we just like put some shit together? Right.
You are Mr. Put some shit together though.
I fucks with it. I fucks with finding a concept or a thing and making it work for me. Yeah. That's what I like. Yeah.
I love that. So, before we get any deeper.
Okay. I thought it was pretty deep right there.
It was. It was the vulnerability for me.
It was the... Hold on. Do you really say for me? Or did you just like...
I don't.
Hold on. Let me pick up my bag.
Now that I think about it. I don't.
Okay.
But it was the vulnerability for me in that
respect
moment.
it. I respect it. I be thinking of like I be like, I wouldn't say that. I would say that, but I wouldn't say that. You know what I'm saying?
Gotta spend less time on the internet. Got to. So before we get any deeper, do you remember, or what is your earliest memory of us?
Okay. Not to bring anyone else in this, but I remember you were a friend of another person's friend. And my first idea was, man, this girl's mad interesting. like not knowing you, like
Really?
Yeah, because
you never told me that.
Yeah, I was just like, because you were somebody's, in my mind, you were someone's girl.
Yeah.
My homie's girl, my little homie's girl at that. So I was just like, oh, but you were older than him too, but younger than me. So it was this weird thing where I was like, yo, what was? And then I was just like, oh, she's just mad interesting. Like she's into like, you know, it was that weird time where like I wouldn't say black kids were into different things, but like. You just weren't like the internet wasn't what it was,
right?
So like you didn't know all these people who were into this thing. Like it was a very unique group of people. So you were one of those people who I was like, oh, she's kind of into the same type of shit that I'm fucking with. And you was super heavy. Like I didn't know too many girls who smoked weed like you did at the time. So that was another thing. I was just like, yo, my man found a shorty who just be getting stoned. Like, good fucking vibes.
Good vibes.
So then we pull up to your crib. And one day it was raining. It was like raining or foggy out. And you live in Shady Grove, basically.
I live in Gaithersburg.
Okay. So you live in Shady Grove. As far as I'm concerned.
I just feel like it's very important to be specific.
Okay, you live in Gaithersburg, but nonetheless, it was like exit, God knows where off of. It was like exit 11 off of like...
270.
Yes! Like, it was going past Montrose. I remember when I was driving there, I was like, damn, I'm out here.
It's exit 12 now. Shout out to exit 12.
Shout out to exit 12.
There's a new exit. We got a Royal Farms just opened last week.
I just seen that because I was by the hospital.
See?
So
See, because you be in Gaithersburg. Because you be in Gaithersburg.
This is now, but this is not back then. So nonetheless, I was driving out there. And it's like, it's kind of foggy. I'm like, damn, I'm basically taking a 40-minute drive to see a girl I don't even know for her. I'm like, man, this better be lit, man. And I was like, we better be turned up, da-da-da. But it's raining. So I'm like, what the fuck are we about to do? Pull up to your crib. I'm like, boom, boom, boom. You're like, all right, I'm about to come outside. All right, back. Come outside. You're like, oh, you're trying to spark? I was like, she lives up to the hype. I was just like, it was no like, oh, it was like, let's spark. We sparked. I remember we just laughing, talking a whole bunch of shit. And then you're like, yo, you can come back in my crib. I was like, bad. We went in your crib and we watched Where Are the Wild Things?
Yes, Where the Wild Things Are.
Where the Wild Things Are. And I remember us, because you lived in a townhouse, and I remember it was like a go in, and there was a downstairs and an upstairs. And I think we stayed upstairs at first, or like right in your living room, and then we went to like watch the movie, and we just like on the floor just smacked. Just like watching
the perfect movie too.
And we did that shit for like 2 hours, and I was just like, "Oh shit, I gotta go." like my house
Like
is
I'm
not
on
down.
the other side of town.
I'm like, my house is not down the street. And I remember after that day, just being like, "Nah, I fucked with Taylor." And then your mom was like, "Who are you?" I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like,
Nah, she's cool.
and she's like, "Oh no." I was like, oh, her mom is like fucking with. I was like, yo.
My mom loves you.
I was like, yo, her mom is super into it. I was like, yo, this is lit. So we was, yo, that day was a fun. I remember just doing like, we didn't do anything. We just literally smoked and watched that movie. And then we just talked some more. And that was just the day. And that was like a super, super fun time.
Yeah.
And I think that's my earliest, like, fondest memory. Just like when I think of you. Because it was just like the two of us at one point. It wasn't even like a bunch of other people. Like, and I think that's the thing that's always been, I think, unique about at least us is that not many times is a large group. It's always kind of just been like me, you, and a few other. It's not like this like super big, like everybody's friend. Yeah, so
yeah,
that's a memory for sure.
Wow,
that was like 2010.
Sure. That was like 2010.
Yeah. Because I had just went to college, or I was just going to college. It was like your senior year.
Yep. And you were a freshman.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I hadn't gone to school yet. Like I was going to school like the next week or something.
Oh yes. Wow.
Yeah, I remember that.
2010. 12 years. That's crazy.
Some time
flies. We old.
Are we old?
Nah, we're not.
Kinda.
We getting there though.
It is what it is.
I know. We're cooler than the young folk.
I don't know, man. Young kids are super cool.
I just said that to feel confident.
No. I love the low key. I hate young kids and I love them.
Why you hate them?
I hate the idea that I look back and I think that I thought I knew it all at that age, and like knowing what I know now, I know I was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So I hate to like look at some kids and like even sometimes have conversation and be like, I get why you think that because that's what I thought.
Right.
But I know better.
Right.
And I think it's like, part of me is sad because like, I know some of them might not even get the chance because it's like, I know people who didn't make it to like now. And it's kind of weird to be like they thought like they were dumb and stupid like me, and they didn't get the chance to not be dumb and stupid anymore. And I see something and I'm like, damn, I don't know if they'll get that chance. So I kind of feel bad for some people, like, but like, do I ever think about them when I'm talking to them? No. That's always a retro. Like that's now like you got me thinking about life and shit. But like at the moment, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. Listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. But I'm sure people thought the same about me. So such is life.
If Euphoria is any indication, the kids.
Now Euphoria is some old man's like recollection of high school, what he thought it was. I don't really think that's like a play on today. At least I hope not.
At least I hope not.
But kids do be getting fucked up, so.
They do. Okay. Let's get back into why we're here. Okay. Why podcasting? Just like,
ooh,
you're a writer.
Okay, so it's funny. I was talking to Keith the other day, and he was like, remember when I used to be like, you don't write anymore? Because he used to say that when I first started my like TV production job. He's like, yo, you don't write no more. And I think for me, like I've gotten more into writing like the last couple of years, like low key because of the pandemic. Did a little bit more writing, and I was actually thinking like a couple weeks ago, like I need to finish that thing I was telling you about, the Eleanor's Club. So I'm gonna like really decide to write. But I would say the reason why I was podcasting is because writing for me has always been about getting out thoughts. Nothing more, nothing less. Like truly only write because I've always felt that's the medium in which my thoughts can get out. Like I could talk to as many people, but it only can go so far. Right. At least that was what I thought for the longest. Like I can only talk to this many people. Writing has always been a place where like now everyone can have my thoughts. And it's funny you bring that up because you want to know why I even kept writing for so long. Remember when I first started HazieThoughts, maybe your sophomore year or maybe my freshman year. I don't remember. Maybe my sophomore year or sophomore. But you was like, Chucky, some boy in my class used the article from HazieThoughts. And I was like, huh? You were like, no. I was in a class. And I was like, hold on. I was like, tell me. She was like, Chucky, I was in my class and we were talking about, I forget what, and you were like, the boy brought up and it was a HazieThoughts. And I was like, are you dead ass?
I remember that.
And I was just like, and I was like, I don't know this dude from nowhere, random. I don't go to school. And he took something I said and was like, basically using me as some sort of authority. And I was just like, I was like, huh? Like I was in my, like, you don't know how like geeked I was in my dorm. Like motherfuckers is using like what I say. So that's how it's always been for me. Like I've always known, even like when I was like, I can think back to like the second grade when I was like in the newspaper club. Like I remember like an article. No, that is. I remember like one of like an article I wrote was like, "What is your favorite age?" And I was like 13, and they were like, "Why 13?" I was like, "Well, that's the age you become a teenager." And they were like, I was like, well, when you become a teenager, no one can look at you as a kid no more, you know. Yeah. But I was in the second grade. For me, like that was the epitome of being grown. Right. In the second grade, eighth graders were the epitome of grown. They were 13. So that's all when I knew when you were 13, you were in the eighth grade. You were the top person. That's all. Yeah. That's all that made sense to me. Now, and I'm like, and I just think back to that, like that's why I always like writing, because it's the one thing that when you put out there, and it's the one thing I always felt like people respected. Like people always respected someone who could write something, even if it was like a love letter. Like girls respected that. Yeah. If you could write about sports, people, like I used to read the newspaper a lot growing up, like looking up stats. People always respected writers. So it was one thing I thought about too. Was like, but I think that's why I did podcasting, because once I realized like, yo, we can get as many people to kind of hear the same thing I would write down, but just with words, or just by speaking it. I guess it made it easy. Yeah,
yeah. Do you incorporate your writing into the show, or is it all just off top all the time?
I think it used to be way more writing, like way more of the things I wrote or was wanting to write, or like maybe didn't write, so now I'm gonna like do an episode about.
Okay.
I think once again during the pandemic, I think a lot of the episodes during that time were based on that. We're like, yo, it's all that's going on in the world. And I even went on like a spree of just writing. Like I think it was like October, like 2020, just writing a bunch of stuff. And the podcast was definitely a reflection of it because that's when I do my most research. When I'm writing for anything, I do my most research. So that's when I'm able, I feel like, to talk the most confidently or most knowledgeable about certain aspects of, you know, whatever we're talking about.
So it sounds like it's just an inherent part of your process.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that I want to write more, but I always feel as though this, like, it's weird because the same way you told me about that and I was like, yo, I'm going to keep writing, people are like, yo, we really fuck with this. Or like, we really, like, yo, we listen to this. Or like, we had Dree on, she was like, yo, I got clients. And it's like, damn, if someone got life insurance, like, if one person watch an episode and was like, hey, I'm gonna go get life insurance, then that is enough for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need like a million people. I just need, if we could be like, yo, 3 people's lives were like, yo, we gonna be good. Like now, 20 years later, they're like, man, you know, shit, I watched the episode and that's all right.
Yeah.
Like, that's all right. Like, isn't that what we here for?
Yep.
Like, you know?
Yeah.
At least that's what I think.
Yeah. I definitely feel that way. And I think that the impact is long. You got skin in the game. You've been doing this, sharing yourself and sharing your thoughts and opinions to make little subtle changes for yourself and other people for a while now. And you probably don't look at it that way, but I'm me. So
You think so?
yeah.
I think here's my issue with that. This is just my issue. My issue is that when you give, you're supposed to just give without anything wanting to get back. So I get what you're saying. Like, maybe somebody did look at something different. Maybe there is a viewpoint that maybe isn't the same as it was before. But isn't that what we're like? Why even do this if I'm not that I'm trying to like change the world, but why even do this if I'm not hoping that at least something is challenged? Like, at least somebody wakes up and is like, even if they keep the same thought process, they're like, well, you know, that dumb motherfucker said. And to me, I would much rather that than like, because to me, there's too much pressure on what you say. Just personally. Like, remember how I started? I was like, you know, I'm a good person who's cynical. Yes, I'm cynical because I believe we're all inherently flawed as humans. So for me, I would never want the idea that like, yo, this motherfucker be talking truth to power. No. Because then everything I say has to be truth to power for a certain group of people. And anytime
I think you put that on yourself, though.
Yeah, but I think that's also like a construct of like doing putting yourself out there and giving opinions. Because that's the thing. If I give an opinion right now, let's say I give an opinion on what's going on in Ukraine. And I say this on wax. That's an opinion that stays here. It doesn't get, I don't get to say, oh, I've learned. Maybe.
Yes,
but
you do.
I do, but that doesn't change the opinion now. You see what I'm saying? It might in retrospect to other people, but it is what it is. So like, there's people right now, like, I don't know if you've seen a bunch of reporters who basically are like, this is happening to white people. It's bad.
I have seen it.
A lot of those people, and I think in my heart of hearts, don't mean it in the way they're saying it. They're saying it how they feel. They're saying like, yo, I've never seen something like this. They're not taking into account all these, because that's not their livelihood. So for me, if you say certain things about certain subjects, you're held to that. Now, can you learn? Yes, you can learn and do. Everyone can. But how many people are going to not just give you the doubt, but give you the opportunity? And I think that's why a lot of people turn the way they do, because once somebody has branded you a certain way, it is really hard to go, all right, I'm not like, yo, if someone says you're a dick.
Yeah, but it's hard, so what? Do it.
Once again.
Because my thing is, you're not allowing both things to be true. Yeah, we're inherently flawed as humans. Facts. But also, And also, we can do good things and celebrate the fact that we've done them. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean now that I've done a string of good things, I'm Mother Mary, like that. You know what I mean? Mother Teresa.
But it's funny because we had this whole argument.
Yeah, but it does. It's that's not what that means. It just means I'm a flawed human being who cares about people and did some good in the world today. Why can't both of those things be true? We have to embrace both if we're going to like be realistic. It's unfair to put yourself on one side and be like, I'm over here with it.
I think that's fair.
I just think that's unfair.
No, I think that's fair. But I also think like we're all conditioned in weird ways. Now, like me, I'm fake conditioned out of spite. I don't know why.
Right. I don't know why.
And I'm not even like it. But like I need to feel something. It's funny. I was listening back to like the.
But why can't you feel joy?
I do feel joy. I told you. It's all balanced with me. I told you. I feel it all. You know what's funny? I was listening back to the first episode I did, and I was talking about a certain person who said something about me way back, and who I was like, oh, I'm so angry. Oh, not angry, but I was like, I'm so thankful that girl said that because, and then someone brought it up, and I was just like, yeah, I don't know how I even felt. Like I was like, I probably haven't felt anything about that for so long, but to know what that made me feel, sometimes I need to feel like, damn, remember they all were like, yo, your shit ain't that tight. So when a few people, I'm like, yo, look at the people we did, it's like, all right, that's the, like, low key, without that spite, how can I have validation for this? Like, that's the whole thing. But one thing I will say about you is, though, you have made me be far more introspective of that actual spite. I'm not gonna say no names. Remember, I was talking to you. I was like, "Yo, I like this dude. I think this dude is whack." And you were like, the first thing I remember you said to me, I was like, "Wow." You were like, "Are you like jealous?" I was like, "How dare you ask me? Am I jealous of this guy? Like, I'm cool. I'm like, don't try to play me." But I had to actually be like, "Yo, do I feel so?" And then I was like, no. I'm like, but for the longest time, I think whatever the first emotion was, that's what it is.
Right,
like,
and that's what I'm saying. You're not allowing yourself to have multiple emotions, to feel multiple things.
Well,
it's okay that you felt an initial way and you can change your mind. I think you can't do it publicly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why people should shut their mouths more.
Why? But people could change their mind. If we don't let people change their mind,
yes,
everyone is bound. Like, are you?
No. Everybody. No. But the thing is that I don't be jumping. My thing is like people be jumping out on a ledge, buddy. Like it's one thing to change thought processes. It's one thing to go through life and see things differently. I don't think anybody is holding anybody for that. But there has to be some sort of discretion in what you do give. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel as though, especially in this day and age, everybody wants to give all at all times and then never want any pushback. Because my thing is that if you're always putting yourself out here and giving, then you have to be you have to be able to reciprocate or take in what people say about you. It can't be, oh yeah, I'm grown. Nah, you can't just be growing on everyone's time. Like that's not how this works. You can't be disrespectful and rude and be like, oh, that was just me in 06. Like, no, bitch, I was going through something in 06. So like because you were, that don't change. And that's my thing. Like I think we're always so focused on how it is in fact impacting us, but that's not just how we live. Like we live with others. I think that's one thing, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like that's the one thing I'm very good at, the idea of like, yo, it's not just me, so like let me kind of just be like, shut the fuck up, or just be like, hey, it's not my day. Niggas don't be giving me Chuck that grace, and that be my fucking issue. I always feel as though the grace extended has to be like a two-way street. And a lot of times, it is always like, all right, we'll be rude, we'll be disrespectful, and then when it happens on this side, it's like, what type of person? Why can't I be? Why is everyone else allowed to be the dickhead and grow? Why can't I be the dickhead and grow? That's why I like to position myself as the dickhead. That way, you can always grow. It's a method to the madness.
I just think that what I'm about to say is super the therapist
Yes,
hat
I'm
is on.
already sharp. Therapize me.
I feel like you perpetuate the same dynamic because you feel like people don't give you grace, so you don't give people grace, and then you got more examples of why people don't give you grace, and it's like you want to be in a cycle, and to me, that shit is played. Like, why you want to be stuck in a cycle of you didn't give me grace? You didn't. Instead, just do what you want to do when the fuck you want to do it. You know your intentions are good. You're not out here trying to hurt people.
That's true.
You are not out here intentionally trying to hurt people. As long as you are not doing harm, do you. And that might be different from yesterday, and that's cool. And fuck who doesn't give you grace. If somebody was going through something in 06 and you were mean to them in 06, they're allowed to still be mad. I was bullied. There's people I'm like, nah. Like, nah, I don't have nothing for you. But I'm not saying they're still that person. I'm just saying what you did, the role you play in my story, it's quiet for you forever.
I feel that.
So, but you could still go live your life and do you and change. You could save the world. I would clap. Like,
oh, you would clap? See, I think that's the fundamental difference. I'm not clapping.
You don't gotta clap, but
right,
again,
cool. I don't gotta clap. That's fine.
You're proving my point. You're proving
Why?
my
How
point.
do I prove your point?
Because by not clapping, you're literally carrying this energy of, but nah. So you're gonna keep having examples of situations in your life where you gotta be like,
I didn't clap.
but nah, because you're not opening yourself up to just letting. Who cares?
I just don't understand why I can't hate on things. Like I really don't understand. Y'all not telling me why I can't.
You're allowed to hate on things.
Yes.
What I don't understand is why you want to.
Ooh. Okay.
Why do you want to
listen,
hate
why are you
on
trying to
things?
therapize? Why not just let a motherfucker feel? See, this is my thing about feelings.
Because I'm interviewing you, so I get to ask these questions that I've had for.
Okay, that's true. But the thing about feelings are like, why can't we just talked about this earlier? Why are people not allowed to feel? Like, whatever, as long as it's not actually harming the others, why is that so, why is that not of me? Like, why isn't that mine?
Mm-hmm.
Explain that to me.
It is yours, right? However,
So is that.
I think almost all situations are like individual. There's individual context.
Okay.
I know you, and I know that you're aware enough to know when you're just feeling something just for the sake of feeling it.
Yeah.
And that's not why. You're choosing it. When I know, sometimes we feel things, right? Mm-hmm. And we react, we have thoughts, etc., etc. But that shit just comes up in the moment, right? When you're feeling something just to feel it, you're choosing that thought. And you be choosing to be like, and you don't have to choose that.
It's fun sometimes, though.
It's fun sometimes.
You gotta admit the idea that you can. All right, so here's the thing about me too. I think you brought up a good point. I'm pretty much in tune, and this is probably due to your fault sometimes, with all the layers of the feelings. Mm-hmm. So, like, when knowing that, like, like you said, like, I think there's a thing of manipulating feelings that I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for as humans, that we can understand when we're doing that subconsciously to ourselves. Mm-hmm. So, whether it's like you said, like, wanting to feel like I got a gripe, it's very easy to position myself and then have my feelings connect to that.
Yes.
But this is my issue. This is how most of us live. We live our lives for confirmation bias. Most of us are not going through life open mind. We're going through with certain blinders looking for things. I don't understand why, since everyone else, I'm literally watching everyone else do it, but I'm just supposed to, because I understand bias. No, fuck that. Why am I not allowed to watch everybody else play mind games with their feelings and manipulate? I literally will watch people be like, yeah, I'm not going. I'm like, dude, I've been seeing you play this whole game, and now you feel some type of way, and everyone, and I see people bend and acquiesce to people, and I just be like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So someone could just act like a spoiled brat, and people will be like, oh, well, that's their nature. Mm-hmm.
I think this is exactly where we get in every conversation we ever have. Yes. Because the difference between me and you is I'm not about to just be like, well, everybody else is doing it. I'm grown. Like, I do what I want. And what I want to do more often than not all the time, because I'm a flawed human being, right?
I like that part.
Because I'm a flawed human being.
I like that part.
More often than not, I want to do the right thing, the good thing,
and I'm not
the noble thing.
But you're a good person.
So I fuck up sometimes, but that's not my intention.
You're a good person.
I know, but I'm saying this is where we always get, because you're like, well, this is how the world works.
Yes.
And you know me, I'm like, okay, but if we want it to work different, we got to do different shit. I don't fucking care how the world works. It don't work.
And
it's
I get
not
that.
working. It hasn't worked. We're at a peak point right now.
Very much so.
Almost all of humanity, where we are seeing this shit
That's
don't
why you're
work.
the better person than me, because you understand this and you're working towards the better good.
No, but so are you. You just went on a whole spiel about how important it was to you that people understand your work and take it, and you built on that, and how good that is, and you know you're contributing to something good, but you don't want to own your goodness.
When the streets have you, the streets have you. Like, I'm not worried. Like, they got us. So it's certain things that I'm not worried about. Okay. But there's other things that you have to let be, in my opinion, because like you said, the world is what it is. We're not going to change anything, in my opinion. Like, motherfuckers who are far more brilliant and far more dedicated before me tried and failed. I'm sorry, Du Bois. I love you. You did a good job. But Ida, very good job as well. So, I'm trying to get my ladies in there.
It's Black History Month. Period.
Yeah, this has been a rough one.
But
nonetheless, with that being on the backdrop of like, yo, there's only but so much, I agree with you. There has to be some conscious good. So I think I will, and every time I feel like I talk to you, I get a good spree of goodness for a while, and then maybe I'll revert back. But that's neither here nor there. But I just can't, with everything in the way we live with the backdrop, not take that into account. Like, I get what you're saying, and it's probably better to do more often than none, more times than none. But it's just like, you gotta keep that, like, that side eye, like who are these guys? Like, just make it sure, just to keep the temperature. That's all I'm doing. Yeah, I'm checking temperatures. Put it like that. That's all I'm doing.
Okay.
Do you feel that?
I do, because it's you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And I'm not being, and that's what I'm saying. I would feel worse if I felt like I was being fake.
I don't think that you're a bad person. I just don't like that you won't admit that you're a good one.
Ooh.
That's what the issue is for me.
Okay.
Because it's like you are so scared to say.
It's not that I'm scared.
And I'm a beautiful thing. You know what some niggas is out here doing?
But see, once again, like,
you ain't out here doing that. And my thing is, we all have the potential within us to be absolutely terrible or amazing. So if you choose good, you should own that, because everybody has the seed of good and evil within them.
Yes.
You water both with your actions.
Okay, and I agree with you.
Your evil seed it don't grow, like, that joint is nothing in comparison to your good seed.
And I wouldn't probably even argue that.
So say you're a good person.
I'm a good person. I don't think I'm a bad person per se, but I just know that the flaws within humanity are within me. So with that being said, I can see it. Like, I can see it all play out. I can see times where, like, the evil can be done, and it's just like, nah, don't do it. And it's just like, is that because I'm such a good person, or is that because I'm in this society? Like, like, sometimes I often wonder, like, am I not just conditioned like the rest of us? Like, if I came from different circumstances, maybe would I do the other? But because I didn't, like, I don't see my 30-year-old self learning new tricks. I'm just saying, like, a lot of my tricks are my tricks. Like, I'm not about to end up becoming fucking, like a gang. Like, that's not about to become my ministry. It's just not about to become my ministry. But if that was always my ministry, like at 10 and 11, who's to say those actions wouldn't carry on to now? So I'm like, a lot of the foundation has been built with people. And that's another thing. Like, we're too old, at least in my opinion. Like, we're not 25. We're not 21 anymore. We're not at these ages in which, like, you can maybe account for, like, brain development. No. Most people, they understand. So you are who you are, player.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, like, I'm a good person. 70-30.
That's true.
75-25. Not 80-20. That's a lot.
75-25.
75-25.
That's chill.
I got room to grow. I told you I need the room to grow. I need the room to grow.
You're a flawed human being.
That's all I want. And I think if I got more of that, I would be more intentional with being a good person. Okay. If people started off with the flaws and then let's work to the good.
Buddhism, because life is suffering just off the bat.
I fucks with it.
Flaws off the bat. So here's what you do because you're flawed.
I can feel that.
Yeah. So, flawed human beings impacting other flawed human beings is what you're doing with High Codes.
I feel that. I like that. Ooh, that might be a new tagline.
That's cool as shit. That's cool as shit. Do you have a favorite High Codes moment?
Ooh, favorite High Codes moment, yeah.
Are they the same thing?
Oh, no. So, I think my favorite episode, man, I got a few. So, episode 21. If you ever listen to this, go back to episode 21. It was the day we seen a dude get beat up outside of someone's house. Shout out to my friend. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we saw a lady piss out front of my house. Like, a lady, like, walk outside her car.
Out front of your house?
Yeah, my parents' house. Yeah, we seen that. Me and Mook, we seen that. We was in the car. So that was because we literally like did an episode. Like I think like the day out, we were like, yo, immediate episode. Yeah. This weekend has been crazy for me. So episode 21, yeah, that was funny as fuck. And then randomly, like there's a stretch of episodes during the pandemic where we were talking about race and I think like culture a lot. And I think that might have been the most informed, at least for me personally, because that was when I was reading every day. I was watching Chomsky, Du Bois, fucking Mary Tor, like you name a person of sort of black history or stature or like learning educator during that time frame. I was super delved into that. So I felt like I had so much more knowledge and so much more like information. So I would say those are my, and then my favorite moment has to be the 100th episode because it was fun. Like that live episode was good. It was good to see, like you said, the flawed. I'm using the flawed people.
Flawed human beings, yeah.
So it was good to see us come, and then it was like I think it was like a girl from like London or something there, and she was like I came with my friend, da da da. I was like, that was funny. Like it was like little shit like that I enjoy because it's like, yo, I hope she always enjoyed that experience. Yeah. So like no matter where she is, she's like, yo, those boys, they were funny or they were stupid. Like I don't even care if people.
They were stupid.
Nah, because I think there's a totality to all of this, or not totality, a duality. So if you like, especially for like hour-long episodes, like if you jump in 30 minutes in an episode, you might be like, yo, these guys are really, they're talking about something really, and you fast forward to the beginning, you're like, yo, they were talking about boobs.
Yeah.
Like, and I think like that is kind of what I enjoy about this because that's I think the duality of life. Like life is, we are all not one thing.
Yeah.
Where most of us are a lot of small things put together to make a whole being.
Right.
So like, that's the only way. Like I think like going back to like the writing. Like in writing, once again, I feel like sometimes it's hard to like do all those things. Like to have so many thoughts within like a frame of an article. Like people like throwing their structure. Here, you don't need that.
Yeah.
Talk about God 1 minute and then like why dicks are bad for you.
Right.
You for you.
So, I think that's the perfect way to put it. How basically what you're saying is you have the range. You're not gonna say it that way because you don't want to.
No, I don't want to say it like that because once again, I think that beholds you to something to say you have the range. So I mean, like. Once again, like, we just, like, I think you said something beautiful earlier. I don't have enough information or to talk about that right now. And I feel as though when people put themselves, in particular, in these type of spaces, people get caught up and it's always have to say something. No one is willing to just be like, I just don't know. But you can't, like, that doesn't make for good, like, no matter, I don't care, I've worked with TV production. Saying I don't know is never a good thing because nobody cares if you don't know.
Right.
People would much rather you be wrong so they can dissect that and then come back to it than you being like, because I don't know is a smart thing to say 90% of the time. I promise you, because sometimes you just don't know. Like, yo, there's conflicts going on all around the world. How many of us know all about them?
Right.
So to have like an in-depth analysis of the most recent one seems kind of far-fetched as far as I'm concerned. But that's not how this works. So I think like that's what I'm saying. Like I feel you with the range thing because I do think as far as like just what a podcast is, because this is where I will go. I will say though, like a societal idea of a podcast. Yes, I'm not just going to talk about $200 dates and why cheating is bad. And why doing dishes is a woman's job, and why my woman should pay or not pay the bills. Like, there's so many more things to life than a relationship. Yeah. So for me, I will cop to that. There is the range there. Yeah. But I think once again, it's just like, what are we grading against? And I'm big on that. Like even with this shit, like it's just like we do something for. In terms of purposes, that's pretty out there. But is it out there to like other levels? No. So you got to temper back what you consider success, or what you don't consider success, or what you consider impact, or what you don't. So yeah, I think all those things have to be accounted for.
I think so too. I think it sounds like you have a metric, just like for yourself, a personal metric. How did you develop it? Like, is it inspired by other people's metric, like other podcasters or just people in general that you fuck with? Like,
that's a good point. I think there's two metrics.
We gather our metric from like all kinds of places and experiences and shit.
I would say there's two things. There's an impact metric and there's a numbers metric, as far as I'm concerned. Okay. The impact one is truly how I see things. So like you said earlier, I get off the internet, me as well. I be on the internet enough. So I tend to, at least in my mind, even with my own blinders and bias, tend to think I know what's what and who's doing what. So that's where I go as far as the impact. So there's no one, as far as I'm concerned, who maybe like does this kind of podcast thing in this space, man, young, black, male, boom, boom, that does it the way we do it. I don't think anyone. I don't think from subject matter. I just think there's something very different about this. It might not even be the best, but it's something different. And I heard a great quote: different doesn't always mean better, but better is always different. So with that being said, hey, I'll leave that for what it's worth. But as far as the numbers go, it's definitely like a very statistical thing. It's like, you see like a Joe Rogan of the world. Like that's like the standard. If you're a podcaster, you got $100 million and he did all that shit. So like as far as like a number, you go like, what does Joe Rogan do versus everybody else? Because and then there's other people like there's like The Read, there's so many other podcasts all within different spaces. But like if you work in media, I think you learn that like just like radio, podcast is its own kind of niche space. So like you would never compare a news radio talk show to a sports talk show as far as numbers. And I think like that's the one thing that's I find comfort in because this is a very relatively new space and there's no way to actually quantify this outside of like, Spotify said you did this, Apple Podcast said you stuff like that. Yeah. And we all know you can game stuff. And so for me, it's a little bit of like always watching what people are doing on the outside, but the impact is very simple. Like, I see like, who's those two dudes who like for like 2 months everyone kept talking about them. Like they had Brittany Rayner. I forget what the name of the I don't even know the name of the podcast. But every time I see
what did she say? It's forgettable.
Every time I see them, I clip from their podcast, I laugh because it's like, why be mad at them for doing what you guys are allowing? So like they're literally saying like, oh, black women are this, and then you guys are like, da da da, and they're like, yeah. Like this, and this is, and in particular, like there's so many spaces in which people choose to tap into stuff, and then are once again manipulating their feelings, telling me that like it's like, no, you decided to listen to this man say all these things about all these people. I have heard every clip I've heard of them have been like the 1 minute to 2 minutes. I've never like I'm like, oh, okay, that's what they said. All right, keep moving. And it's funny because they give a lot of Kevin Samuels vibes, where like they're saying a lot of basic things about life, and people are like, well, you see, it's like Kevin Samuels is like, be equally yoked. Everyone's like, well, you see, he told you. It's like, well, if you're a woman and you make 85 to 100K, you should probably be with a man. Like, that's what you want.
Right.
So, yes, that's higher. Like, only so many people make X amount of dollars in the America. Like, you can go on the IRS website. These numbers aren't, like, being hidden from any of y'all. Right. So, like, that's the thing that it kills me. It's just like somebody's like, take care of your family. Niggas is like, oh my God, did you hear that? He said take care of your niggas ain't saying it like this. And it's like,
yeah,
it's like that's what I'm competing against. So it's just like, what do you want me to do here?
Ooh, are you competing?
Yeah, we're all competing. Competition is a state of paranoia. That's first of all.
Yeah,
we're all competing.
Absolutely.
Because we all, like I'm saying, we all live in a society. So as long as a society is of people and we're all doing things, we're all competing. Now, are we competing in the same manner? No, but we're looking for people. We're looking to create impact. Mm-hmm. I think anybody who does anything is looking to create some sort of impact. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking, you're competing. I'm competing with a Netflix because that might, there's somebody who's gonna watch the Tinder Swindler and try to go out and do that. Mm-hmm. That's impact. Like, as much as people hate that idea, but that's what our media consumption, a lot of it spurs us to do. That's why people care so much about representation.
But just because you want to have impact doesn't mean that you're competing with other people that want to have impact too. It just means go have impact.
Yeah, I don't think I'm competing with them, but I'm competing for someone's impact. So, like, I'm competing for, like, your attention. I'm competing for, and that's the thing. I don't always think it's like me versus the other podcasters. Right. No, but if other people listen to podcasts, well, we're competing for their attention. We're competing for them to want to be like, hey, that's where I'm getting my thoughts, because that's a lot of how we're shaping ourselves. We're shaping ourselves through the music we listen to, through the podcast, through the books we read. There's so many people, everything we take in. So, yeah, I'm competing for you guys. I want y'all because I got the answers. I'm trying to tell you. And if I don't, like, there's people like this who can shake it up sometimes.
I don't know all the answers. I'm a flawed human being.
See? If you have two flawed human beings, you can get better answers.
Facts.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm here for all that transparency.
Mm-hmm. All human beings are flawed. So if you're walking around here acting like that excludes you, you probably got more flaws. So there's that.
That might be a bar. That's a bar.
Yeah. I think that you always wanting to, I'll reframe.
Ooh.
Not you always wanting to be in competition. You don't always want to be in competition, but I think that you're naturally competitive.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. But I want to know more about the other side, which is what is inspiring for you? Like,
ooh,
what do you take from? What makes up your approach? Because it is different. You are competing. Like you said, nobody does what y'all do the same way that y'all do it. So
I think two things. History and art. I say history because I don't believe anybody gets to where they are without coming from somewhere. Or coming from something. So we did an interview with Plastic Missiles, a clothing brand. Yeah. And one of the dudes said something interesting. He said he ain't got the last name of anybody in his family. His name is Swahili. His parents gave him a Swahili last name. I forget the meaning, but I think it was something like basically brand new, like the one only, something new. And that stuck with me. Yeah. Because
that's tight.
Like, that's what kind of what we're all in this for. Like, we're all in this as individuals to have I love saying we do it for the story. So we all have these individual stories that shape how the world will ultimately run. Like, I can't tell the story of the world as far as my world without you in it. Because of who you are. Because you have shaped yourself. And there's just, and I think there's enough, I think if everyone thought like that, we'd be in a different space, because everyone would feel like whatever they did was so important or impactful or whatever the thing it is. And I think that's why I say, for me, that's the history part, is that while we're here, we all, I hate to get morbid, we all have a finite amount of time here. So while we're here, we're all going to be able to create something, and that will be our history. So I'm interested in, like, how we got here. Why are we here? What is the sociology behind this? What is the psychology about it? And all that good stuff. And I think the second part is art, is because art is always about interpretation. It's subjective. I could put up something right now and put it up in a room and somebody will be like, this is ugly. and someone else would be like, this is the most beautiful thing that I've seen in the world. And that is the beauty, I think, of content. We call it content, but we mean art. Anytime you put out your thoughts and stuff like that, that is art. Writing, love, all that stuff is art. So when you put out yourself, you allow people to decide, is he right? Is he wrong? Well, is he coming from this from the right perspective? Is he coming in from a bias? And I don't think there's any other medium in the world where you can do that. Like, I think of like sports. The subjective, the analytical part of sports is like who won and lost. That's easy. That's very simple. There's always a winner and a loser. But once you get past that, that's when it becomes art. So how does it look? Does it look good? Does it look bad? Does it look like... And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. Like, and I think once you get down to everything in this life, like fashion, you can show me the fabrics. You can show... That's the technical. How does it make you feel when you wear it? That's the art. How do you look when you... Do you feel like you look sexy? Do you feel like you look bummy? I love wearing sweatpants because they make me feel a very type of way. Can't wear anything else because I can, but I don't feel the same. Like, people be like, "Oh, you look so good in a suit." I'm like, okay,
tight, yeah.
I'm like, do I look? And I'm always curious. Like, when people say stuff like that, I'm like, do I look good, or have you been conditioned to believe suits make people look good? Because like, if I was wearing a fire ass jumpsuit, would you have the same
energy?
And I wonder, and that's why maybe that's my biggest cynical. I'm like, does anyone ever like what they like? Because I'm always going through the process of what I like and why I like it. And I think, just go back early, I'm like, yo, I've done all this. And I know there's certain people who have, so it's like, it's the weird thing about him. I can't go up to every person and be like, yo, have you done all the thinking of like why you like the color blue? Did you really understand? Like,
yeah.
Did you really? And somebody's gonna be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I like blue. Move the fuck around.
Right.
And somebody's gonna be like, no, bro. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, red is just, it doesn't really jive. And green is like a little, but like blue, that's it. And for me, I hate it, but like, I've done this with almost everything I've thought about. Like, yo, for everything Kanye West, I really like Kanye West because I've thought about all of this. I've thought about all the flaws. Like, yo, saying slavery was a choice, like, I really was like, yo, of all the conversations I've ever had about slavery, how many people have said certain things similar? Like, I went through, I was like, all right, not that many. All right, so how many people have said things in the vein where I thought, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm trying. And I was like, you know what? I'm giving this dude the benefit of the doubt because I like this dude. And I've left it ever since there. Because I remember we had I'm like, yo, I like the guy. So because I like the guy, I am throwing everything to the wind. There's no, and I'm okay. Like, that is the decision I have made. So don't tell me like no. I have decided he is flawed and I don't care. Like, the other niggas, I care. So I'm going to, like, when people are like, yo, I don't bring up Jeff Bezos no more. Like, oh, I don't like, because like, nobody gives a fuck, Charles. Like, who cares if you don't buy stuff from Amazon? You don't. That doesn't change anything. Yeah. So going around telling everybody how you don't support Jeff Bezos doesn't make you any smarter.
Right.
Doesn't make you any more in tune with the earth. You're just a nigga who doesn't support Jeff Bezos.
Right.
And only reason why I started that, because I used to be like, yo, you can stop telling me how much you hate Kanye. I get it. You hate him. And someone's like, yo, I'm like, I get it. And then I remember someone was like, yo, no one cares about you don't buy from Amazon. I was like, oh. So, and I was like, damn, they don't, like, what the fuck does that doesn't change anything. Like, and I was like, whoa, damn. I was like, how is that any different from how you felt about the dude who was saying all the Kanye shit? I was like, the fuck?
Yeah. I had to learn that too, the hard way. I feel like I used to have an opinion and it was the right opinion, period, and I needed everybody to know that
validate.
It was the right opinion, right?
Exactly.
But my therapist was like, how do you have time to feel all the other things that you need to feel as you move through life if you're busy trying to convince people of the feelings you have? Just be like.
And that's what I'm saying. I had to, and that's what I'm saying with the manipulation of feelings. Like, at a certain point, you gotta be like, yo, people are doing that. And you have to make a decision whether I am going to, one, feed into it and do the same. Two, say fuck it and just move on, or acknowledge it and then do whatever you feel is necessary. And I think I have gotten to the point where I can do three legitimately. I can acknowledge and say, all right, today myself doesn't lend to this today. Or fuck it, it's time to do it. And I think that is probably the only thing that I'm super happy I have come to that, like, the feelings are meant to be felt. So that's what they are. Yeah. So if I am like, yo, I do not like this person, I don't like them, and that's okay. Yeah. But I have to ask myself why. Exactly. And if I can understand why, I think they're fake, that's fine. It doesn't even need to be true. But as long as I can come up and I will go on. Now if I can't, that when it becomes an issue. When I'm like, all right, why don't I like? That's wrong. Right. You're just doing it for the sake of doing it. Am I hating because I just? Yeah. That's kind of weird. But sometimes it's be necessary. Sometimes you just have bad vibes. Sometimes, like sometimes your vibes just need to be bad. Like not all the time. That's what I'm saying. Let bad energy just flow right off. Period.
My friends got me saying that way too much. I hear it myself.
You're a city girl for sure.
Shut up. I'm not a city girl.
I love it for you.
Anyway.
I love that for you.
What?
I love that for you. I am personally a super big
that makes
young
you seem
Miami
like
fan.
super judgy. Like I'm judging.
You see, that's what I'm saying.
Caught myself.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not a judger. I think the young Miami prototypes or lookalikes that are coming. I'm not saying
nothing about that. I want that. No
I need
with
more
the
of
city
that.
girls. I am just not a city girl.
I need more city girl lookalikes in the streets. Like the Kardashian lookalikes have run their course. Give me young Miami.
They've run their course. These are people.
Of course, but like they can start trying to. They can start looking like something else. See, that's my issue. Like this is my issue. People be trying to grow on our time. Like people, you gotta stop growing on our time. You gotta do that on your own time, and then come to us. I'm just growing over time. We're sharing time. No, we're sharing time. Time isn't real. But we're sharing it. It isn't real. The construct, we're sharing it. Okay. I feel that. You can't say, don't be doing this shit on my time. I'm just saying. Okay. Not on my time. You're right. Not on my time, but on the time. Don't do it on the shared. So when? On the timeline. What other time is there? What timeline should I be on? You have your own time. There's our time as a society. That's what people have to keep. See, that's what you're not realizing. There's the society's time and then our time. Okay. Our time is for us. So this is where we need to grow introspection, and then when we come to the group, let's put it all together. Like this is when you do your best work. Exam time. Put it like this. Exam time. This is where you do your best work in the group. No. You need to. Oh my goodness. Listen, all the flaws. Keep that within yourself. Grow within yourself, and then when you come to the. No. Because what you don't realize is people be trying to be that persona. They believe that about themselves. I hate that for y'all. And so they don't. I hate that for them. That's why doing shit like this is important. Being vulnerable, like airing out. We're not airing out. That's I did, but like showing flaws, showing that we are flawed in public. That's not our best work. We wouldn't show it, right? We wouldn't be vulnerable. That's not our best work. But by doing that, it makes so many other people be like, I fucked up last week and that shit was wild, but I'm a way better person today. So, but that's true. But I think that's true to us though. So I don't think you can like, because if neither one of us could do this, we just couldn't do this. I don't think this is like some sort of like great, some sort of like feat of greatness. This is just two people who I think are comfortable within this space. There's people who will never be able to do this regardless. Mm-hmm. So I think that to me is just the difference that everyone in theory is capable because we're all capable to do anything. It is how many of us are going to willingly want to. And I think if you need anyone to jump off, then you're always going to need someone to jump off. Mm-hmm. That's the thing I truly admire about you. Even if I feel as though I don't like what you're doing, I never feel as though you're doing it because, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I may be like, yo, you're blowing me, but hey, that is you. Like, that is not something that, hey, all the girls have said, so now you're doing what the girls are. Mm-hmm. No, these are And maybe even if they aren't influenced, because we're all prone to influence. No one is, no one is immune to that. I never feel as though that is the primary. You might use that once again as confirmation bias, but once again, we're all doing that.
Right.
And I think that is just the fundamental. I'm maybe I'm not giving people the benefit of the doubt, but I don't think people are actually doing the minimal work of how or why. Most people are just like, it is what it is. And I can't be with these wild lovers in the middle of the streets like this. Like, come better. Come better. That's all I'm asking.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
Okay.
And that's for men and women. Now, please, don't want to make sure anyone thinks I'm a little sexist. But,
Still there.
oh, damn. It might just stay there.
No, it's fine.
Okay, good job. Let me get a manicure. Nasty nails.
We could like cut that part out. Are you just looking at your manicure?
No, this is my interview.
Way too long.
I know, right? I gotta cut them. I used to bite them. I don't bite them as much.
No,
so.
don't bite them. That's gross.
Yeah, I know.
You should definitely.
I'm gonna get a manicure this week. Maybe tomorrow.
No, cut.
Yeah, I gotta get my ladies. They do a good job.
Yeah.
Little inside the little.
That's
cuticles.
cute. Where you go?
This joint in Largo. I went last time. I went by myself for the first time recently. I almost go with Shawty, but I went by myself. It was a lovely experience. They treated me well, so I'm gonna go back by myself.
Did you do a mani and a pedi?
Yeah, I did a mani and a pedi.
Yes, love that for you.
I'm trying to self-care myself.
Yes, as you should. What's your self-care practice?
Oh, so
does it change?
It always changes.
Okay.
So I used to be big on the massages. That used to be a big thing. So I used to do a good massage
Necessary.
and then a great
Everyone
meal.
deserves massages.
A massage and then a meal. So it had to be 2 and 2. I always like a nice, like there's some days where it's napping blunts. Like
Yeah, most days.
Yeah. Where I just like, I have nothing for the world. I'm going to smoke a blunt and I'm going to just sleep. And then watching TV, like, I feel as though, like, TV is a thing that, like, is kind of part of people's lives. And it's weird, but, like, I need it as a separate routine. So, like, I have basic TV, like Big Bang Theory, Sports Center, and, like, a host of random, like, Life After Lockup, Chrisley's, just a bunch of...
Love the Chrisleys.
Just a bunch of TV that's kind of just like Chicago PD, just random SVU, just shit that's just like it be on TV.
Yeah.
But then there's actual TV that I need to watch. So
that you
like,
seek out.
Yes. So I think to me that is the self-care when I'm actually like going to watch. Like I rewatched The Wire from the beginning.
My mom is about to do that tomorrow. Yes.
So good. So it's like shit like that where like, all right, I'm going to seek out or set out to watch something over and over. So those are my self-care. Smoking weed, massages, that type of shit, and then
good TV.
Good TV.
I love that for you. Have you been skating lately?
No, after I don't know if you can see, but I have fucked up my hand.
Oh, you haven't been back out there?
Yeah, I'm scarred. I'm also in PG.
Dang, if you don't do it though, you're gonna be scarred forever.
The only issue is that there's no like just streets and like everywhere is a fucking highway in PG. Like I turn around and there's always a highway.
Yeah.
There's a skate park though in Watkins. In Walker Mill. So I might check that out.
Yeah.
I might do that.
You don't gotta go. You don't have to do it for a long time. You just gotta get back on them, or you'll never do it again.
All right, I'll do that when the weather breaks. Okay.
Self-care. Let's see. What do you think is one of... So you shared your favorite moments. You shared your favorite episode. What's a goal that you have for the show? Because y'all are coming up on 200.
Yes. And
there's a lot of shit that you cover in 200 episodes. So how do you grow? Like, how do you keep going?
I want to... Two things. I want to become like... Because we've gotten more into interviewing. And I feel like that has been a very unique experience because you learn more about not just people, but the area. You learn people about things. So one thing I would want is like more of that to be something a little bit segmented where that's kind of just a focus where like, we bring in not just people locally, but people from all, because I think with the internet, you meet so many interesting people. And we've met so many interesting people from like real estate to artists to business people. So I just would like that to kind of be more its own thing, something very unique to itself. And I want to do more live shows because I feel as though anytime people get to like experience what this is, like we'll have guests come through all the time and like, yo, that's so fun. Or like, oh man, I really enjoy it. Because I think there's something about being in a space with each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing the pandemic kind of like for a little bit took away, but then it gave back because people were doing Instagram lives, and you kind of felt that like people would be like all in this together. So I want more of that where it feels like, because I'm big on community or the idea that, hey, we're all here. So that's another one.
I love that. So continuing to build on the community aspect of the show.
For sure. I love that.
Yeah. I think that's one of my favorite parts of the show is how much you've been able to expand what community even is for you.
I like that.
I think that's really big.
And like also like different types of people. Like I want people who aren't like us to feel like they can come here and talk to people. And now and not just us teach them, but they teach us. So more women, more people who aren't into like the things we're into. You know, more white people, more just people who aren't us. If that makes sense.
And I like that like people come here and they feel comfortable. It doesn't feel like a stiff or stuffy kind of interview. Obviously, that's not like y'all culture of the show, but sometimes people hold on to like that rigidity about themselves. But I feel like this is a place where they kind of
honestly,
like
that might be my favorite thing when someone is like, "Oh man, I'm having fun now," or like, "Oh man, y'all got me loose."
Yeah,
like. Because I think everybody has an interesting story. Like that history thing. Everyone's history is unique. And the only way you can actually get that out is if you tell people. Now, I get what you said earlier about like people need to other people to see it. But like this is why I think platforms are important. Because if you have a platform, that means someone already is comfortable enough doing that. So then you can follow through. So now you don't have to come here every week and say something. You come here one time and say, and that will live with you for as long as you have it.
right.
And that's for you. And I think there's something dope about having that.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about growth. We talked about favorites, the history of the show, the art that you're inspired by, what makes High Codes. Let's close out with what you are most grateful for about the show. Something, and not like grateful that the show has done, but something that you're grateful has impacted you directly.
Oh, my brothers. Like 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. These 4 guys. Like I spend so much time with them, and it's because of this. Like we've like you said, like I said earlier, like a lot of my friendship has been in groups. So we've always been a large group. We've always done things together. We've always New Year's Eve parties at KD's house, brunches here, the Tunji's. Like there's always things that we've done as a group.
Yeah.
And it's a large group, But this is more intimate. It's most of the time it's the 4 or 5 of us in a basement talking.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it don't even mean the stuff that makes the air. That to me is what's important. It's the conversations about like life. Like we've had interventions like that. We've had interventions in the basement. We like like talking about our goals, talking about the things we want for each other. All those type of things. Like I don't know if it happens unless we do this week in and week out over like the span of years.
Right.
Like even just like how it works, like going into Omag's basement every week, boom, boom, say hi to Nana. Like, like Nana and his grandma and his mom, like them the folk, like them. I love both of them. Like those are our people now. Like and I think there's something to like the brotherhood that like has really grown. So I think that's the thing that I like the most. Like even when we go out on the town, like sometimes we'll do a podcast and then go out, like just the 3 or 4 of us, or Katie don't ever go out, but maybe 3 or 4 of us, and we just be out, and it'd be like, yo, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it for like a week. Like, yo, remember what happened last week? Like, this whole summer was basically me, Omatic, and Mook going out, acting degenerate, meeting Shirley at his job. And then like going all around DC and then coming back and then being like, yo, so like if you ever listen to some of the episodes and you had hung with us like a day or two before, you'd be like, oh, that makes sense. And I think there's something to that. There's kind of a beauty of like getting to do stuff with the people you always do it with.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing I like the most, I always get to hang with the guys.
Yes, I love that. I love the community you've built. That's definitely a pillar or a value of the show, if you haven't identified that, because brotherhood just falls right under that same umbrella. So that's a huge piece of the show. I'm inspired by the community that you've created.
Yes.
And I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you. I am. Congratulations. Happy 200 episodes.
Yes! We did 200, baby. They should do a little banner. Omatic, make this sprinkly. Like, throw some confetti on this joint or something. Oh my God, you smell nice.
Oh, thanks. That was fun.
I think we're done.
Oh, yeah.